You're listening to a Brain Stew Fresh Fright review.
What's up, creeps? Welcome to a brand new Epic Film Guys Fresh Fright review. I'm Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Be Ready.
In this week on the show, it's for all those lovers out there. That's right, it's February, and if you do partake in the festivities of the month, aka Valentine's Day, then this slasher film we're going to be talking about may be something you're going to want to hear all about. We're talking about Hard Eyes, the brand new meta slasher that landed in theaters this last weekend. I don't know, man. Is this going to be a modern slasher classic? Is this going to be another one of those holiday movies that we watch every single time people give each other Valentine's Day candy? And that's going to be up to the end of this discussion. But we are here, gentlemen. The first episode of 2025 where all three Epic Film Guys are here. If I had a sound bar in front of me, I would actually click the smattering of applause sound effect because it happened. We're all here together, not in the same room, but on the same microphones. And it's good.
There we go.
It's a good feeling. It's a great feeling, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a fantastic feeling. Yeah. Been away doing a little bit of music stuff and life stuff, and it's good. It's good to be here with friends talking about the stuff that we love, which is movies. And I mean, congratulations on all the stuff with Little Ghosty. We posted it. A lot of our fans have really taken to it, man. I'm loving the fucking first song that you guys released, so that's some rad shit. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
It's kind of taken off, and people are digging it, and that's kind of cool because the whole genesis of that thing started off as kind of a riff, kind of a joke, and then we went full on, and we were like, no, we should really do this like rap rock early 2000s but modernize it thing, and it's kind of taken a life of its own, which has been really fun to watch, and the comments have certainly been really, really entertaining. So thanks to everybody that's checked it out.
Yeah, and as some of our listeners know, it's available on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, pretty much everywhere now, right, Jeremy? If they want to check out the single.
Everywhere, dog.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yep. It's Song 2 Redo, Lil, L-I-L, Ghosty with an I. Yep.
There it is, but as Jeremy rightly said,
shameless plug.
we are here to be talking about movies. I feel like it's been so fucking long since we have.
Hey,
Holy
talk about some
yeah.
movies. Me, Sylvester Stallone again.
Oh my goddamn bronchitis or whatever the hell it is. It's
got a
gonna-
biscuit.
You ever had a biscuit on a Triscuit? Delicious.
We have the first slasher of the year, which slashers are like our shit, man. Like that's absolutely what we live and die for on the show.
They're you know what? We don't get them anymore because, like, God bless James Wan. He presented a subgenre that really took off in cinema, which is the haunting, the supernatural, the ghosts, the entity movies, the demons, movies, which is fantastic, and they've been amazing. And that's kind of dominated what we've been getting from the studios, because those things have been making money, and Hollywood chases the money. So it's Scream has certainly kept the slasher subgenre alive, but it's refreshing to get a new one, because that's just something that we don't get very much of anymore.
Very true. And not only just a new one, but an R-rated, a hard R slasher. I mean, we got last year we had Terrifier 3, which, ladies and gentlemen, we were all kind of split on that. If you want to hear that episode, It's in the archives, but we get a few now every year, which is really fucking awesome. And this is another holiday themed slasher. And there's only been a handful of Valentine's Day themed slashers, My Bloody Valentine being the most notable. Of course, there was the remake,
And the
then
best.
there was Valentine, and even Cherry Falls, which we talked about on the show with Alone in the Dark podcast a few years ago. But what I think is so interesting about this film, and I'm going to talk about it in my initial thoughts in a little bit, is that we've never actually had like a true Valentine's Day slasher. And I mean that in the sense that a movie that is a date movie, you know what I mean? Like an actual romantic comedy, the type of movie that regular Joe Schmoes will take their girlfriend to, you know, with a box of chocolates, maybe hopes of a late night endeavor with the significant other. I don't know, but this movie really captures, I think, a lot of both sides of the coin of what horror fans want and the regular general moviegoer wants. But before we go any further, be ready. If there's anyone out there uninitiated that has no fucking clue what Hard Eyes is, why don't you fill them on in?
So, for the past several years, the Hard Eyes Killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe.
That's pretty cut and dry, I guess.
Oh, it's IMDb. Yeah, and the tagline is
no effort necessary, I guess. Here, be ready.
The tagline is "Romance is dead." I thought it's fun.
That's a good tagline.
I would say the marketing so far that I've seen, everything to do with the movie, and even that little inclusion of Epic Film Guys. Thank you, Hard Eyes and Sony, for including our shit in your in the marketing for the movie. I didn't expect that at all, and got a random email. Would you guys mind if we use this? And I was like, it's not my quote for the movie. It's something I tweeted like 2 weeks before it came out, but sure, if you want to, go ahead. And then it actually happened. So pretty cool. But initial thoughts, guys, on this. Jeremy, since it's been so goddamn long since our listeners they've actually heard your voice on the show.
Since I heard Jeremy.
I bet Aaron Lewis is fucking stoked right now, by the way. I'm sure
it's been a while.
Aaron Lewis is
and all those things I can't remember.
He's a fucking American. That's what he is.
I'm a patriot. Oh, you mean racist? Like you wish it was the fucking 1800s. I got it, you piece of shit.
Like when he did his Countryside project a couple years ago. Ooh.
How about the time he was so drunk he performed outside and then forgot that he had already performed outside and then immediately performed it again, and people were like, "What the fuck is happening?"
What would have been better is if he was so drunk that he did outside and then he just did his own version afterwards called Inside, where the lyrics are all just inverted.
Inverted. Oh my gosh. So my initial thoughts, is that what you're asking?
Absolutely, man.
Oh man, this movie was a ton of fun. Like I feel very conflicted, right? Because like there's a part of me that I'm just like, it was so much fucking fun, but it's not something that I'm like gonna like walk away from going like, holy fuck, this is the new franchise. This is the new thing. Long live the slasher genre, which of course long live the slasher genre, but like I don't think that Hard Eyes is the thing that is going to be the life source that keeps the slasher genre going. I think it was fun and I think it was entertaining. But yeah, man, I don't know, it was fun, and like I feel like that's what was needed of this movie. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just agree with most of that. It was, I went into it completely blind. I know that we had shared it on social media, but I was still confused thinking it was a different movie. So I really didn't even know what it was.
It was Love Hurts.
Yeah, I thought it was Love Hurts. So I got there and I saw the poster on the wall and I was like, oh, I'm not here for that one. Cool. So then, yeah, it was look, anytime a slasher comes back to the screens and a hard R rating, I'm there for it. I'm always optimistic, cautiously sometimes, but optimistic of what we're gonna get. And it was fun. It was fun. It was quick. It was good pacing in there. The characters, the two leads, were likable enough. And we'll talk more about that. But by the end of it, I thought it was great for what it was trying to be. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna, be something that keeps the slasher genre alive. I think this one's very niche. I think it's gonna appeal to a very specific demographic and audience. But I'm here for it. I'm hoping that it's just something that kind of keeps propelling more people to try new things. So
I can't disagree with either of you. I mean, I don't. It's definitely not the movie to keep the lights on as of right now. As I said, the marketing campaign has been pretty brilliant for it. The posters have been really catchy to look at, and the trailers have been good, and everything they've done, including the cast, which I think the pairing that they grabbed here with Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding is brilliant. I think they're just a perfect pair in the movie. But as of right now, only $8.5 million on an $18 million budget. Doesn't mean it won't have legs. Doesn't mean it won't end up making
it'll make money.
It'll end up making its money back for sure. But what I do hope it does for the slasher is it shows that you can do more than just the same old, same old. I liked that this movie, and I'm not even the kind of guy that watches these movies. I don't watch romantic comedies, not modern ones at least, but it's a romantic comedy. It's a modern romantic comedy first with a slasher backdrop. But when it gets to the slasher stuff, it's meat and potatoes. It's fucking brutality. It didn't shy away from all the practical effects. It's got scary moments. It's got suspense. Everything you'd expect from Michael Kennedy and Christopher Landon. And I think you either like their stuff when they work together or you don't. Christopher Landon, most notably known for, leaving Scream 7 middle of last year because of the Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega fiasco. There are actually people out there that are boycotting this movie right now simply because it is Spyglass and they are producing Scream 7. There was a nice heartwarming picture of the cast of Scream 7, even Kevin Williamson and Nev Campbell going to see this together, for Mason, because he's in Scream 7. And people are like hating on that just because of their political beliefs connected to Melissa Barrera. Yeah. It's a shame. I'm not really going to comment too deeply on that, but I will say, sure. I think the movie is a fucking blast. I've liked Michael Kennedy and Christopher Landon's slasher material for the most part. Time Cut was the only one that I could necessarily say I felt was disappointing. I loved Freaky. It's a Wonderful Knife was a lot of fun. The Happy Death Day movies that Landon did, they just have a certain vibe to them. And I think they actually captured that vibe even stronger here. And that's what really makes the movie shine, is that it's something that feels like their thing. Jeremy, when you watch an Eli Roth horror movie, like a slasher from his perspective, if you watch Thanksgiving, it feels like an Eli Roth slasher movie or a Damien Leone slasher movie when you watch the Terrifier movies. This feels like what these guys come up with, and neither one of them, Landon did not direct the film. It was directed by Josh Rubin, but he also wrote the movie with those two. And I like that it just has a specific vibe. When you look at these modern horror directors, a lot of them just come in, come out, do their job. A lot of the younger ones, and sometimes you might hear about them again. Like Brady and I were talking about the Philippou brothers who did talk to me a few weeks ago. Like, hey, where the hell did they go? Where are they? We haven't seen them doing anything else yet.
Yeah.
But back in the day, if you watched a John Carpenter horror movie, you knew it was Carpenter. If you watched a Tobe Hooper horror movie, you knew it was Tobe Hooper. And I like that this movie just captures that vibe that they continue to put at the forefront of their movies. And it doesn't need to be anything else more than that. It doesn't necessarily need to break the mold of what these movies are supposed to be. But in a sense, it does capture a certain feeling and vibe that is not present in other slashers. And it said, hey, let's take a chance. We've seen other horror comedies. Let's make this a straight up rom-com, but as a slasher. And I have to commend them for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, Olivia Holt, man, I got straight up Monica Keena from Freddy vs. Jason vibes like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like very, very similar like features. Like, I don't know, that was just something that I picked up that I was like, I leaned over to my buddy who I saw the movie with and I was like, dude, straight up like Monica Keena status. And he was like, holy shit, yeah. She was great.
You guys watch Time Cut by any chance?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I almost watched it the other night, and I think we watched a serial killer documentary or some shit
Hey,
instead.
no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. No, I only asked because she's in that as well.
Okay.
And I liked her a lot in this movie. I think what it really came down to is if you're going to have a pair, you have to have a pair with chemistry. And I'll just say it straight up right off the bat. It's fucking Mason Gooding, dude. That guy is the makings of a movie star. He is.
Dude, he is the MVP of the entire movie. Like, he just oozes charisma. He steals every single scene that he's in, and he's just his performance, right? Like, he plays this guy that you just usually in movies, like, it's like you want to take care of the girl because you're like, okay, like, this is someone that I want to take care of. Like, this character was such a sweetheart that you're like, fuck, man, like, protect this guy at all odds, man. He was just so charismatic on screen, and like I really took that away from Scream 6 as well. Like, fuck, man, I like he's like Scream 5, like whatever, like he was fine, whatever. But then Scream 6, I was like, holy shit, dude, he like really stole the show in Scream 6, and he
I
absolutely
think it's
stole
because
the
he
show
showed his
again.
abs, though. I think it's because he showed his abs, probably.
Yeah,
I
that's
would.
why.
I
That's
would
why.
too. No, I agree.
But I mean, yeah, he's gonna be a movie star, man, big time. I mean, he already is. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's super charismatic in this. He's super fucking handsome. And Olivia Holt's good too, but I think that where the movie does come down to is that Mason Gooding is just himself in this, and he's able to move those scenes along. So maybe she's not quite as strong on the chemistry side, but it doesn't really matter because those moments he takes care of it, no problem. Like you said, you want to take care of him. I
Yes.
do think it's a missed opportunity for him to not do a pull quote from that time his dad got drunk at a bar in New York City.
Oh my
and was
God.
Like, somebody
That
suck
baby's
that baby's
dick."
dick.
Oh my
So I was kind of hoping for the whole movie
Dude,
that would happen.
what's really funny is I got home from seeing the movie, and so Anne was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "Great." She's like, "Who's in it?" And I was like, "Oh, Mason Gooding, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son." I was like, he's canceled like shit. And she was like, "What?" And I like had to like explain to her like how wild all the Cuba Gooding Jr. shit got, and she was like, "I had no idea." I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's fucking."
I mean, last thing I saw was like footage of him getting arrested somewhere, handcuffed
Yeah.
and taken off
Yeah.
somewhere.
And also, good thing that Mason Gooding looks a lot more like his mom, because his dad is a little weird.
Fuck
looking
out of here. He
sometimes.
looks just like OJ in Made in America, okay?
Oh,
Get out of here.
right.
Or,
Right.
no, I'm
I'm
sorry,
OJ.
Ryan Murphy's fucking whatever the fuck it is. True crime
I'm
story.
OJ. Do you remember that shit?
I'm
I
OJ.
watched the entire thing, but I'm like, bro, Cuba Gooding Jr. doesn't look anything
Or
like
sound
O.J.
anything
Simpson.
like OJ. You know what though? I will
He's
say
I'm OJ.
at least Mason looks like athletic enough. He could have played like a young
Yeah.
OJ, but no, it is very true. He's got this charisma. He has this wittiness to every single line delivery. And I could see like some guys going into this movie being like, I fucking hate this guy, but he's actually like super sensitive. And I love how, of course, he's a red herring. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into spoilers. I will say I'd love it if we don't actually spoil who the Hard Eyes killer or killers are for you, because it would really strip you of any kind of excitement when you watch the movie. And I know a lot of you, because you've told me directly via Messenger, oh, I spoiled the movie anyway. I don't care. I'll just listen to the review first. And I'm like, no, go see the fucking movie. But on the subject of the killer, I thought the killer design was pretty fucking cool. I really liked the mask. I liked the light up eyes. I thought that was pretty cool. It was something slightly different. It's not, I mean, yes, they're dressed in all black, but it's not just another guy wearing a black hood,
I kind of am really tired of one trope that's been going on in Hollywood for like a decade now, is this like a smile equals scary. So much so that we have like a franchise called Smile, where it's just like, oh, we can make smiling creepy. To where it's like everything has like, oh, a creepy smile. Like, dude, even like I've talked about it before, the fucking Evil Dead Rise, where it's like in the trailer where it's like the mom's like being creepy, and of course she had to smile because smiling is creepy. So the one thing that I'm like is the mask had a smile on it, and I'm like, I could have done without that.
I liked that when he would kill someone, he would take the dripping blood and like put it on his mouth and make it a larger grin. I don't know. I guess we could all thank fucking let's put a smile on that face. You know, Heath Ledger for
No shit.
making that shit scary for millennials back in 2008. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I overall liked the design, and gotta give it up
Same.
to Devin fucking Sawa, man, as Detective Hobbs. There's Hobbs and Shaw in this movie.
Oh my god. And fucking Jordana Brewster, who's in that franchise.
Exactly, which is why
man.
like when that line hit, I was like, okay. Like some people would probably groan and be like, that's so fucking on the note. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny line.
Same.
Going back to you saying, to not try to spoil, who the killer or killers are. I think it also goes into how Josh Rubin approached it, because I liked Werewolves Within a lot. Jeremy, I don't know if you saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And I think it's fun, again, kind of like this one, for what it is. Like, you're going into it knowing it's a comedy. That one's based on a video game.
Plus, it's got the AT&T chick.
The AT&T chick? Oh, yes. But Josh Rubin did an interview for this one, and he was asked, how did you take something like how you approached Werewolves Within, this whodunit, and kind of marry those two concepts here again. And I really like this because he points to a show that I love called Mayor of Easttown. I don't know if you ever watched that with Kate Winslet on HBO. It was a miniseries. Dude, it's so fucking good. You like True Detective, so you like it. But anyways. But he says, he approached this whodunit aspect that he would have the actors do takes less suspicious, more suspicious, and most suspicious. And, we've heard this, Wes Craven used to do it too. But I think him scaling it back to, hey, like, I want to keep everything through the movie making people guess, and I think it worked. There were multiple times in this movie where I was like, it's got to be this person. Oh, it's got to be this person. So it's fun that like Justin was saying too, like Landon is getting back his own voice, where he's confident enough to know how he's going to write it and how it's going to be super tongue-in-cheek in some parts and super tropey, but he knows that he can pull you in with it. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. That was definitely one thing that kept me really engaged in the movie, is like, it was a really good whodunit, right? Now, when the reveal hit, I was like, okay, like, I think we strung a few things together to make it work, but like, I don't know that we're ever gonna get that fucking Billy and Stu moment again, right? I don't know if we're ever gonna get that again. But this one, it was like, okay, you made it work.
Okay.
And it was fine, but it was like, there is a certain, since we're not going to go into who the killer is, like, I'm not going to fucking
look. It's
say
still,
it, but there was
it is still not.
Yeah, there was
the ending of Scream 6. Oh my god.
Screams in the theater with the family.
Yeah, where it's like there's three of us, we're all the family. So I get what you're saying. Like, you can't do Billy and Stu anymore. So
I'll say this, even though we're not going to actually give up who the killer or killers or whoever the fuck are, I liked their reasoning. I liked the reason behind this killing spree.
I can get behind that for sure. I can get behind it because it's true.
And I love how the movie opens. And I don't know, guys, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a slasher movie jump off the bat and have like this myth already exist. Like, we haven't even, they're not going to show us the first kill that this person or persons has, has done. It's going to be, there's like this news flash of like the past couple years of what this killer's done. And I liked that. It was a little bit different. It added like a backstory already, and it made it feel like they're already present and kind of scary and known to the general public in a way that it's not like in any Scream movies or anything, or in a Halloween movie. They're like, yeah, Michael Myers, he's been killing people for fucking years. He's probably going to come to your house on Halloween. Here he is.
I'm super into the design too, and kind of the background of how they came up with this design, because I guess they didn't have a mask finalized through the early stages of filming.
Who did they have originally set they were going to do a mask of, Brady?
I don't know who they said they were.
It was like a game show host for like the Love Connection or something. That's what they were originally going to do.
But they said that the costume designer, Jandra Watson, I think I'm pronouncing that right. is went through a couple of different versions. So they were trying to do this kind of Hellraiser-esque. That's really what Ruben wanted, but they were like, all right, well, I think if we do leather, it's going to be way too reminiscent of My Bloody Valentine. So they scratched that, and then obviously, Justin, you and I were in the theater together, and we saw this. But he said, a lot of the movie homages Jason Lives, and that was a huge influence for
Absolutely.
him. And so they also started with a hockey mask version of the emoji, like the emoji broken hockey mask, like that's what they were going to do. But then it was too on the nose, and he's like, that's going to be way too distracting. So they finally found what he calls almost Freddy Krueger, with the asymmetrical hard eyes, the metallic rims, the stitched head, the oxidized blood on the mouth, and then they aged it properly, and we got what we got. And I think it's great. I also love the scenes where the killer is looking through like infrared, and the eyes light up as the hearts. I thought that was really nice touch.
Super fucking cool.
And especially when we see the first person view from their perspective in those cases, it's also another interesting thing that we haven't seen that's done differently here. So the movie is extremely creative in trying to do something at least semi-fresh with the genre in terms of visually, and also obviously with the romantic comedy aspect. The opening of the movie, because obviously you're not going to know what the tone of the movie that you're going to see is until you actually sit down and start watching it. I was a little bit taken back. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of like super on the nose cornball. But then I was immediately intrigued. I was like, okay, so they're at some fucking winery, and this couple's trying to get their engagement shot. And the funniest shit ever was when the photographer is like, hey man, didn't get the shot, can you propose again? And I was like, of course they have the fucking music playing. What was the song, Brady? What's the song, do you know? Come on.
Oh yeah, I'm totally spacing on it. What was it?
It's one of the most cornball fucking rock songs, but they do it again, and then of course the hard-eyes killer comes into play and has some fun and hijinks ensue. It also provides one of my favorite kills of the whole movie.
It was Amazed by Lone Star.
Okay, that's what it was. All right. But I've never seen a slasher movie start at a fucking winery, like with this nice bright sunlight. They're celebrating their engagement in the most fake fucking way. It's making fun of and picking apart, Instagram engagement photos, and I thought that was pretty funny. And then of course the first kill is the bride to be gets tossed in a fucking wine mixer.
Oh man, that was so good.
I loved it. Yeah. And then of course her eye pops out of her head, and we immediately turn to each other and we're like, Friday the 13th part 3. So it had a goofy vibe to it that I really liked, that was really not just pulling from like the Scream. So everyone likes to think that everything post Scream is like Scream, and I'm like, not necessarily. I mean, this movie really took a lot from, I think, the Friday franchise too, in terms of its goofiness and a lot of the kills, for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think it actually works in its favor to do that. And yeah, like you said, we talked about tropes earlier. There's this trope of everything has to be like Scream. That's not the case. There's tons of other slashers, horror films out there that can be brought along for the ride. And I think it's hard in a Valentine's Day horror movie to not think of My Bloody Valentine, right? Because I think all of us can agree on here that that's probably the best Valentine's Day horror movie, and one of the best slashers ever made. So I do think that when you're in the director's seat, because I've directed so many movies, that you can be very deliberate and intentional with how you're going to homage something and know what's going to distract and what's not. So I think that when you have a voice as strong as Christopher Landon's in the writer's room, and then Josh Rubin in the director's seat, that you can play with things a little more, and then just, I'm sure, have all those creative geniuses in there.
Who, by the way, directed one of your favorite horror movies of the last couple of years with Werewolves Within, and also he's fucking from DC. He originally was born in DC. Why the hell wasn't he at our screening? God damn it! I need to talk to somebody about this. He's legit my age. He should have been there to introduce the damn movie.
Well, if he's like anybody
That'd
who
have been
lived
cool.
in DC at any point, he probably hates it.
Instead, we had like a
He
fucking
wasn't there.
rat run across our feet in the Regal
No shit.
Majestic, the worst
No
fucking
shit.
theater of all time. Oh, and who the rep was?
We
Jeremy, your best friend.
Yicky.
Man,
Yicky.
I got yelled at.
I really,
He yelled at me for going into the theater too early.
what a happy guy.
You should have been there.
What a happy jovial guy.
Mm-hmm.
What a blessing.
I bet you he listens to every episode waiting for the soundbite.
Hard eyes
Yeah.
to him.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, I loved the kills in this movie. Like, they were so over the top and goofy, and like, there's even a point where a character is like, I really hate blood, and like, they're like, I think some blood got in my mouth, and then they vomit on someone, and then they vomit on the person again, and then they vomit on the person again, and it like the camera never cuts away, and I'm like, dude, fucking hilarious. Like, this was a buddy of mine asked me what I thought about this movie, and I was like, this movie toes the line really, really well at being a slasher, a romantic, and a romantic comedy. Like, it really, really toes the line, because this could have gone like way over the top, just to satire, right? Over the top, like, oh, this is a horror comedy, and it's like, when you think it's going to do that, it doesn't. And really, really impressed with how well it towed the line of like, how funny do we want to keep it, and how scary and intense and gross do we want to keep it, and how romantic do we want to keep it. Like, really impressed that they were able to toe the line for the entirety of the film, where all of those things worked and never worked against each other.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect example of that, Jeremy, would be when Allie and Jay meet at a restaurant, because Jay's position at her company is to basically fix the shitty campaign she put together and to keep her job and keep the campaign afloat. They end up, doing a kiss because she sees her ex-boyfriend come in with his new girlfriend outside of the restaurant, and they decide, hey, we'll just take an Uber together or whatever. They end up coming back to her place, and she forgot her keys and her clothes during that fucking really cute, like, I'm dressing up at the mall montage. I thought that was great, actually. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, hey, yeah, I'll come help her out. He's trying to, it's almost like a tough guy moment. Like, yeah, I'll just break the window for you. And then of course he shatters the fucking glass into his hand, and she needs to help him. And then they go upstairs, and the tone shifts like right out of fucking nowhere, blinding shift tone of romantic comedy. They're sitting on the bed, they're talking about stuff. And then the hard-eyes killer just fucking pops out of the closet, and it's fucking scary again. It's like,
yeah,
and I remember reaching over to Brady like, dude, they're breaking the rules here. It's been 15 minutes since there's been a kill. It's been 15 minutes since we've seen the killer. It's been way longer than that. So I have to give them so much credit, because they're actually breaking the normal boundaries of what we expect of these movies and the timeline in terms of like, when is the killer going to pop up again? But when that tone shifts and it goes from romantic comedy to slasher, it goes hard. It doesn't fuck around. It's still scary and suspenseful, and gives us all the great shit that we expect. I mean, there's a great little one-on-one battle inside the apartment, and then they leave. And it uses a very creative way to get us to a dark, moody location where it's like some botanical gardens or some shit are like closed, and they run that way. And then when they run that way, we get the amazing sequence on the carousel, which I thought was really interesting.
It was scary. At least
visually.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think too, with it towing the line of that rom-com versus slasher, for me personally, I do feel like, especially those moments where you're going 15 minutes between a kill, it does kind of turn itself into a rom-com forward slasher, right?
Sure.
But I think it also, maybe some other slashers need to start doing that, or horror movies do, because I felt invested in these two characters, and I don't know that if they had chosen to go the straight, more of a slasher route, that we would have gotten that. I think it would have come across as fake cheesy that doesn't work, not like this tropey cheesy. I will say, though, one negative thing about this movie is there were quite a few scenes in like the second and third act where I felt like there was almost like this filter to it, or this feeling of it was like a made for TV movie in some scenes. And I think maybe it was the dialogue between the two, or how they were set up to look at each other. And I'm sure that leans into the trope of the cheese.
Sure.
But it did kind of take me out for a few times. And Faye and I talked about it afterwards, and she was like, yeah, same thing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, motherfucker. How much made for TV schlock are you watching, man? To know that. That's the number one question here on Epic Film Guys. How much Lifetime Faye be making you watch, man? I mean,
well, we don't watch Lifetime. We watch Hallmark Channel.
Okay. Okay.
We
Hallmark.
just got out of December.
Is Hallmark the better? Is Hallmark the better of the Lifetime?
You know how many Chad Michael Murray movies we watched over the past
month?
What about Candace Cameron?
I refuse to watch anything with Candace Cameron in it.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
she and I don't like each other. If you couldn't tell, it's kind of personal, but it's fine. No, Chad Michael Murray made a comeback, huh? What was he? He was in that Santa stripper movie, and then he was in another movie where he's like
that Frosty movie.
Yeah, no, not Hot Frosty. There was another one. The Hot Frosty dude was the guy from Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek. Yeah.
Which I never knew, if you gave someone a haircut and made them shave a little bit and let them show their abs, they could look like a totally
well, that's the key part there. So the haircut, the shave, but then it's the show your abs a little bit, and then people are like, man, this guy's hot.
Just a little bit. And then act really goofy too. On top of that's spoiler alert. I liked Hot Frosty.
It had Lacey Chabert. What more could you ask for?
Black fucking Xmas, baby.
Movies.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, that was a thing for me, that it just felt kind of like TV, made for TV quality. And it wasn't the whole movie. They were just, I think as you're racing towards the end there, it felt like it a little more.
Well, on the subject of racing towards the end, obviously we have a very, I would say, far-fetched sequence in a police station where, even though they give reasoning why there's no police in a police station, like, oh, the hard-eyes killer was captured. Haven't you heard the news? I mean, which is, obviously a plot device to allow the real Hard Eyes killer to escape and wreak havoc. I did really love that they did a homage to the likes of, think Blood Rage or New Year's Evil, or any slasher movie that took place in any point in time for any moment in a drive-in, because they did a modern drive-in at the end of this movie, and it's one of the fucking funniest scenes of all time. When
brutal as shit too.
It's brutal as fuck, and we have Allie and Jay. They just jump into this car, and it's like these two stoners. And guys, tell me, we all know those two people in that van. We all know people that are just like that. Like, yeah, man, we're just here to watch the movie, to smoke some weed and fuck each other's brains out, man. And they're just sitting there trying to have this conversation as those two are fucking in the back of this van. And they're getting louder and louder. I just thought it was so hilarious. And then, of course, yeah,
you knew that they were goners. You're like, okay, well, they're gonna die.
Which added suspense to that, but also I loved how they're just having like a casual conversation about what they're trying to do and how they're going to get out of there during the whole thing, while these two, I mean, I would say they're unknowing, but they kind of are. They're kind of too dumb for their own environment. But that whole sequence also, as you mentioned, B-Ratty, brought up a huge throwback to Freddy versus Jason. I love when the Hard Eyes killer is just walking around. There's like this kid that walks up. It's like, "What's up, dude?" And the Hard Eyes killer just fucking stabs him in the chest and flings him off in the middle of nowhere. Like, you don't see that in slasher movies anymore. People are just running and screaming. It's over the top. Obviously, it's not realistic in any way, shape, or form. But it was so much fun to watch on the big screen.
Can we talk about how great it is to see Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa like really repping the horror genre? Like, so good to see them in this movie. Like, I need more of that.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, dude, they both have that pedigree of being involved in the genre, and I loved that Ruben was smart enough to be like, "Hey, I want some actual horror actors in this movie that have a pedigree," and they play off each other so fucking well in the movie. Um, Poor old Devon Sawa though lately.
Oh,
God damn,
He never. Yeah,
his
yeah, poor
nuts
guy. We'll say that.
dropped. But
Yeah.
he's been such a sweetheart on social media, like really promoting the hell out of the movie. He's liked, guys, every single post I've made about the movie. He cares a lot about it, so you can tell. And he's great in it. He's always playing a fucking hothead, obviously, which seems to be his thing now. But it seems to fit him well. It's interesting because Danielle is sitting there in the theater when we saw the screening and stuff, and she's like, "Man, I used to have his pictures on my wall. Somehow I can't connect the dots that's the same dude." I go, "Well, man, he's like a rough looking dude now. He's like kind of like this rugged dude now. He doesn't look the same as he did back in the day."
His
grizzled.
fucking nose. His
Oh.
nose looks different. Like, do you guys? Is that something that you guys have picked up on? Like, I'm like, somehow, like his nose is different.
I think he boxes, man. I think he like does it for workouts or something. So it's a
Well,
little
tell him
calloused or
to
something.
watch out for what happened to Mickey Rourke. Whew. Mickey
But,
Rourke went from being one of the most beautiful men in the world to looking like he does.
Well, hey, also
like
there's just
fucking
that thing that
Demon Michael Myers.
Oh
not,
my god.
not all
Looks
of
like
us
Rob Zombie's
aged
Michael Myers.
that way. I
Yeah.
mean, he was babyface, man, back in the day. Casper,
I
fucking.
mean, he's still a good looking dude. Don't get me wrong, but like, I mean, Danielle's absolutely right. Like, you look at him now and you're like, wow, like, doesn't look like the same person from when they were a kid, which is like, that's part of growing up, whatever. But like, it just looks different. I don't know.
He's also jacked as a motherfucker underneath all those
For sure.
clothes and shit. But it's just great to see him in a new modern horror movie. That's what I think sold it for me. As soon as I heard he was involved and he started posting about it, they're a great team. We got to talk about the climax, the third act. Even though we don't want to ruin it for anybody, I thought it was pretty epic. I thought we saw some pretty epic shit at that third act and the final showdown.
When they connected everything, there was a part of me that was like, ugh, come on, man. Like, I feel like in the writer's room, it was like, what if we took this small character that we implanted in this one scene and then made them pop out and XYZ things.
Jeremy? You know what though? And I shit you not, dude. When that scene pops up with that Joe Schmo, you don't think anyone's gonna be? Danielle turned to me and she said, "That's the killer." In the theater. When that scene happened. Wow. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, trying to tell her, like, I'll tell you about these movies. You don't try to tell me about them.
He actually made Danielle shut up.
And then later on, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Because I didn't expect
he smacked her popcorn out of her hand in mid theater.
I did not.
Well, yeah,
I did not.
Yeah. There was a little bit of like, okay, like I guess we had to wrap this up at some point. It was fine. I didn't. It wasn't like I walked away like, fuck that. The ending fucked it up for me. But it was one of those things that I'm like, I do think in a post Scream world, it is hard to do a whodunit better than that. So I feel like that's kind of the obstacle of like, how do I do a whodunit slasher movie and it be massively impactful? I think that's a very difficult task. And I think that they did okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have the people like us who are going to gripe about, I'm going to call it botched, how they botched this ending. But, hopefully the rest of the movie is enough to get you past it, which it is for me, and it feels like for you too, Jeremy.
Sure. Absolutely, yeah.
And like you said, Justin, there's a lot of cool shit that happens in there, a lot of gore, a lot of still some fun stuff. But it definitely was a stretch to get where they wanted you to go. And it was like, all right.
I also wish they wouldn't have eliminated a certain character. So if they did make another one, like it was kind of unique. This one character, it's like it would have been cool if maybe they got away and the Hard Eyes Killer was still out there at the finale of the movie. I think that would have been cooler than wrapping it all up where it's like, oh well, the bad guy's dead, because Scream is notorious for that. Like, we've killed all the bad guys, they're all dead, and now the movie's over with. Like, how about maybe we don't? Like, how about
But as we know, my friend, we know that they can just bring killers back from the dead and not give a shit even 30 fucking years later if fans just talk about it long enough.
Dude, that would be really fucking cool if they went to super. If this movie got a sequel, which at this point, who knows?
I hope
if this movie got a sequel.
Does. I hope it does. I mean, dude, Happy Death Day
Yeah.
got a sequel. In this day and age, guys, we talk about this on the show all the fucking time. The theater experience means so much to us, but just because it didn't do well in theaters doesn't mean in like 3 weeks when it's on streaming, it's not going to fucking blow up on there too.
Rush it.
And then be like, yo, we just made like 25 million in a weekend or whatever it is, and let's do another one. I hope we get another one of these. I really do. I'd like to see more new more new slasher icons being created. Obviously, we talk about Art the Clown with Terrifier. We know we're getting a second Thanksgiving film. Why the fuck not? Like, I don't want just one-offs. If I liked the first one of these, like, which we all seem like we enjoyed, think of what they can do with the second one. I mean, why the hell not? This is what we live for. Like, give me more of this shit.
I would love if they went a supernatural route the next one. Like, I think that'd be fucking cool.
I would also love if maybe they didn't do a next one and Ruben could work on his Darkman reboot that he wants to do.
Listen, ain't no one doing Darkman like Sam Raimi. Keep quiet or Daddy will come over there and pull your pants down and spank you raw.
Oh.
You can't do Darkman now. Come on now. Liam Neeson's Darkman, dude, and he's way too racist to be called Darkman. Okay,
he's not racist. He's just Irish.
I don't know.
No, he's definitely racist.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But he's still better than movies, but
he has done one of my top 3 cameos of all time where he shows up in Ted to order the fucking box of tricks, and he goes to Ted and he's like, I have a question for you. And he's like, yeah, what's up? He's like, it says tricks are for kids. Is that correct? And he's like, yeah, it's the whole shtick, silly rabbit tricks are for kids. He's like, so I can't purchase these. And he's like, no, you're good. He's like, even though it says they're for kids. And he's like, no, you're good. And he just like slowly takes out his money. He's like, I won't forget what you've done here. It's so good.
But ladies and gentlemen,
dude, he was supposed to be Dracula in Monster Squad.
All right, let's be very clear. I love Liam Neeson in movies. In movies, I love Liam Neeson. I think he's fantastic.
I know, it sounds like you hate Liam Neeson.
No. I'm just stating the facts, man. I'm stating the facts.
So you like racist people?
Yeah.
I didn't say I like them in person. I just said that's what he does in movies.
Got him!
He's good in the movies.
If you actually look on the camera that nobody else can see, Justin has a shirt right now that says "I hate Rob Roy." So I don't know.
It's actually a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman shirt, the same shirt that sat in Jeremy's fucking car for like a year and a half because I forgot it in there.
For 4 months. But yeah, to cap that, Duncan Reiger is my Dracula definitively.
Absolutely.
In statement.
Absolutely.
In statement. Not Gary Oldman.
Oh.
Not Bill Skarsgård as Orlok.
All right.
Okay, hold on.
I'll back you up on the Skarsgård, but I don't know about the Oldman.
I don't know. Well,
No. Duncan Reiger is my Dracula, bro. Definitively. Not Christopher Lee.
Motherfucker, my Dracula's not any of those.
So this is why we don't record together anymore, huh? That's
right.
Leslie fucking Nielsen. Ain't y'all ever seen
Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That's a good one.
A great return to form for the epic film, guys. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the review for Hard Eyes. We're going to do our final thoughts. Trash it or treasure it. Sorry, I'm coughing my head off. I'm still dying of bronchitis, or it's probably
consumption.
Late stage pneumonia or something like that. Who knows? Maybe I'm also possessed by some sort of demon or vampire of some sort. I did start binging through Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Tubi because they announced they're
Ready for
going
that
to be
reboot?
doing a reboot. So very excited. Very
That'll be good.
excited.
Yeah. I watched the shit out of that when I was in high school, man.
Dude,
Me and
so
my
did
high
I.
school girlfriend, we watched it together. Like we would be on the phone watching it like every single time it came on. What was it, Tuesday nights or some shit like that? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, on the WB, man. It was
Yep.
it's wild because I haven't watched it since then. And at the time, one of my bandmates, Chris Becker, he'd religiously buy the VHS tapes when they'd come out with like the Buffy whatever collection. He'd buy them. I'd go over to his house. We would smoke weed and just watch Buffy the whole time. But here we are. Hard Eyes.
I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer reruns on FX, so that's how you know we're different ages here.
There you go.
You're a baby. You're still wearing diapers. Do you need me to come over and change you after the episode, Brady?
Yeah, it's been like 5 days. This thing is ready.
Oh my god.
Ew.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm so
He
sorry.
said it's ready.
It's ready.
Shit,
It's
probably
ripping.
I don't know why
ready.
you saying it's ready grossed me out so hard.
It's ripping at
ready.
the seams right now, just sagging.
Ew.
Ready.
Ew.
But anyways, Trash or Treasure.
Yes. I'll throw it to Jeremy first since he hasn't been on the show for a few weeks. Treasure or treasure and your final thoughts.
Man, I really bounced back and forth. Initially, I was like, man, I'm going to have to trash this thing because, you know, I don't love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do not love this movie, but I really like this movie. And I had fun with it. So I was like, okay, so like, how can I treasure it if I don't love it? But then I was like, but I literally was engaged with the entire movie and I laughed and I loved the gore and I loved the characters. I just didn't love the movie as a whole. So I really grappled back and forth with it, but I am going to treasure it because I would definitely watch this movie again. And dude, I think my wife would like this movie. Like, I think it has enough things in there for normal moviegoers that aren't necessarily horror fanatics. And I think it has enough things for the horror fanatics as well that it kind of pleases both audiences. And it worked for me in a sense that I was really entertained by it. So I'm going to go ahead and treasure it.
Nice. Yeah, man, I'm just gonna follow in your footsteps here. I also, didn't love the entire movie. There were things about it, like I said already, the made-for-TV feeling, the botched ending that did kind of make me think in the aftermath, like, like, would I recommend this? Is this something that I would also watch again? But like you said, I was completely engaged the whole time. I thought it was hilarious when it needed to be. I thought that the two leads were incredible. For a small-ish cast, they were all really fun. The person who played the friend who pops up in the like mid-credit scene at the end, she was great. And it
I didn't watch any mid-credit scenes.
Oh, dude, Gigi Zimbardo as
Yeah.
Monica, Ellie's friend. She's fucking awesome in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
But yeah, so for that reason, man, I would definitely tell people to go see this, and especially, like you said for Anne, take somebody who maybe isn't so much a horror fan, like they're gonna love it, and maybe it turns them on to a new type of movie. So I will treasure it.
And I liken to a lot of my opinion, not just on my own, but at the same time on your wife's Be Ready and my wife's. And when we walked out of the theater, they both seemed elated. They both seemed like they had the best time ever. Like, there's all this lovey-dovey shit. There's all this romantic comedy shit, this cornball stuff, and then amazing, over-the-top slasher stuff with a great cast and good production value. And yes, there is like a Lifetime movie. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Lifetime? Please tell me. It's not Lifetime, is it? It's the other one, right?
Hallmark.
Yeah, it's Hallmark. Whatever the fuck it is, it's the same idea. It's got this feeling to it where it can be every single year you watch this movie. Whereas we both love My Bloody Valentine. I love Valentine. Neither of y'all ever fucking talk about that one, but that's one I still plan to talk about on the show at some point.
I think that was Liam Neeson's favorite one too.
Liam Neeson can go. Jesus Christ. Go take your fucking retirement from Taken. What do you want? Taken fucking 56 at this point? What are they taking
no
from you
shit.
now? Your fucking Social Security? I actually
I
wouldn't
mean,
doubt it.
No shit.
Wouldn't
right?
doubt it.
Yeah.
At this
But
point, yeah.
but no, I actually would say I loved the movie. I thought that it was interesting for what it was trying to do. Great romantic comedy mashup with a super practical slasher film. Loved all the performances. Just a fun time. Like that's why I go to the movies. You know,
Yep.
I always say this. People ask me this question all the time. And Be Ready, you were there, I think, for it when we were at Wolfman. Good friend of the show walked up and said, "How do you determine your ratings?" And I said, "I have a checklist." And in this case, very literally so. Does it check off all the boxes for what this kind of movie should be for me? And it did. So there it is. It's a treasure it for me. I'm absolutely hoping that we get more Heart Eyes slasher movies or more movies where they just, hey, capture two different genres. Let's do more interesting shit with the genre. All about it. Ladies and gentlemen, the first Epic Film Guys episode of 2025 to have the whole crew on here. We're glad that you're along here for the ride with us. If it's your first time listening to the show, I'm so sorry. But if you're a long-term listener, we love you so much. Thanks for continuing to tune in to the Epic Film Guys. We love you guys so much. We're available on every single podcast platform at Epic Film Guys and all over the place. And Jeremy, little ghosty, once again,
Yo,
man,
yo, yo.
song 2 redo. Where the fuck's that shit at, man?
Is everywhere, dog. So it's Lil Ghosty, Lil Ghost, and then an I at the end, Lil Ghosty. Song 2 redo, which is a reimagining of the classic Blur song. It's Song 2 for a modern era. And it's been super fun, and people are responding really well to it. So you should check it out and add it to your playlist and be one of the cool kids.
Absolutely. But until next time, I'm Justin.
It's been a while since I
Oh,
can
God.
read on my own
Jesus.
again. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Be Ready.
And as always, we like to ask you to keep it